One road leads home, and 1,000 roads lead into the wilderness. When going on a journey, sometimes you'll come to a fork in the road, and you will have to decide for yourself which path you want to take. Sometimes there isn't a right or wrong path, and you kind of have to just go with your gut. Some roads will be smooth, some roads will be rough, but no matter what, you have to keep going. And even if you aren't satisfied when you get to where you're going, at least you had an experience getting there. This is my third devlog video for Roseblight. I haven't had a lot of time to work on the game recently. Regardless, I feel like I've made some pretty decent progress so far. I'm sort of putting off doing cutscene stuff at the moment, and I've been focusing on the next area that leads out of Griswell. Today, I'm going to be going over the South Charcoal Highway and the foes you'll meet within it. On the west side of Griswell, there's a road that leads out of town and into a tunnel. The road is blocked off by a gate, which you will have to get past by acquiring your passport. Once you get through the gate and head through the tunnel, by foot or by moped, you will head into the forest area surrounding Charcoal, a nearby city. You'll have to watch out for cars when traveling here, because you don't want your adventure to come to an end because you were jaywalking. Other vehicles aren't the only thing you should be looking out for, though. There are a pretty wide variety of baddies that you can encounter, ranging from a ball with legs to a wasp that's the same size as you, to a magical deer with very long legs that will barrage you with bullets if you lay a finger on it. Aokao is filled with a bunch of adorable horrors that lurk in the wilderness, thirsty for vengeance. I've added a few more to the game, some of which you saw earlier. I really hope I don't get my tongue tied trying to pronounce their names. Hey, remember this dude? Little fluffy guy that shoots eye bullets at you? I'd like to introduce you to the new Flymn Family, which now includes the Flymna, the Flymnays, and the Flymnagon. This is the second family to include 3 stages, the first being the Barb family. Flymnas are pretty much the same. I've updated their sprites and removed their standard attack. The adolescent stage is the Flymnays, which is pretty similar to the Flymna, except they're much faster and stronger. When they attack, they shoot 3 projectiles in a row instead of 1. It also has a second ability, which it can launch the player up into the air, stunning them temporarily. Their elder stage is the Flymnagon, which you first fight on the highway leading out of Griswell. They're slower and heavier, but they deal a lot of damage. They possess both abilities from the Flymnays, along with some abilities that are similar to the ones the Barbanzo has. They can use Flym Fury, which temporarily increases all enemy damage slightly, and all Flymna family damage significantly. They can also summon reinforcements from their body. After defeating them on the highway, they will show up in the wilderness as a legendary enemy. I've also added a few completely new enemies, some of which I've previously showcased on Twitter. This last right here is the Groveler, an enemy that throws smaller enemies, which are Grovelings, at the player. Grovelers have high health and defense, but they don't attack the player. Grovelings do attack the player, and even though they're the smallest and weakest enemy in the game, they're much more threatening in large numbers. After you've defeated every enemy in a room, there's a small chance that a wooden chest filled with loot will fall from the sky as a reward for spilt blood. Or is it? You know, no game is complete without a mimic enemy, right? Mimics will attack the player after opening one of these chests, which can contain a pretty sizable amount of loot if you kill it. Oh, and just a cool thing I'd mention. Did you notice that the new area has a different type of tree in it? These trees are evergrey trees, thin-needled conifers that stand tall and have durable bark. Just thought I'd mention that. Hopefully they're not too pissed that we cut down their brethren for holiday decoration. These guys right here seem pretty harmless, right? He is. It'll even try to hide from you if you try to attack it, so there's no point in fighting this dude, right? The Escarg is extremely slow and durable, and it provides a defense boost for other Aoki that are nearby. I wonder if you could use their shells to make armor or something. I have a couple other ideas for enemies that might show up in the future. But for the most part, I think I'm just about wrapped up with adding enemies to the game, especially wild ones. I enjoy coming up with enemy designs and concepts, but I don't want to overwork myself too much, so I think I might add 2 or 3 more and then call it there. Besides, I don't think we're going to be in the woods for much longer anyway. With all these threats lurking about, there's a pretty decent chance that the player is going to die a lot. Especially against some of the bosses, like the Barbanzo fight in the ruins. There are 3 bosses in the game that are required for progression, with a 4th one being added now. I know that even I, an epic gamer such as myself, can get stuck on certain bosses when playing games. I'm planning on changing a few things with the Soul Chamber area, so that some of the more challenging parts are optional. But for the overworld areas, I've been trying to think of how I can help the player get past parts they might get stuck at. In one of my other games, Clockwatch, one of the things that I did was I would spawn in a special crystal in a boss room after the player died a few times consecutively. I've been thinking about doing something similar, but instead of just giving the player an infinite amount of health, why don't they just skip the boss? Aokao is home to several humanoid races, who are the apex predators of the planet, a few of which who have already shown up, with more to come in the future. One of those races are the Redeemers, an all-female race of winged humanoids who, supposedly, work for the Maiden. They're basically the janitors of Aokao, harvesting the lost souls of the foes you've slain, and cleaning up your mess while you're not looking. The one that's been assigned to the area that Roseblight takes place in is Samyntha. After hearing from a little birdie that you've died over and over several times, she'll show up just before a boss battle, and will offer to take care of it for you so you don't have to deal with it. Hopefully she'll be of some assistance, and even if you do want to prove yourself in battle, hopefully she'll be a reminder that you're not taking the easy way out. Who knows? Maybe she'll play another role in the future. It feels nice when you're at a point where you can just add new stuff, you know? Game development can sometimes feel like you're constantly smashing your head against a keyboard over and over again. And seeing decent progress brings a bit of a relief. That's all I have for today. Don't forget to like and absolutely demolish that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're not subscribed, how else are you going to get updates about Roseblight? Think overalls! Hopefully I'll have more stuff to show off soon. As always, thank you for accompanying me on my descent into madness.